Well, another defensive line domino has fallen for Clemson in the 2026 recruiting class. None other than four-star defensive end Dre Quinn from Buford. He has officially announced his commitment to Clemson earlier today. It was a cute little ceremony. He picked up his little brother, who was adorned in all Clemson gear, and announced his commitment. This was a commitment that Clemson, I think, needed in a big way. You know, we've talked about how important it was to close on some of your bigger targets on the defensive line. You already have um, Cameron Cody and J.R. Hardrick in the fold, but you needed a couple of higher end talents to kind of book in the class and really raise the ceiling of that group. And Dre Quinn certainly fits that build. You look at him in his highlight tape. He's every bit of 6'4", every bit 220 plus. Just really, really great hands, speed, twitchiness, everything you want. He kind of does it all. He could stand up. He could put a hand in the dirt. And you know, he's really, really good at chasing down ball carriers. And you'll see that a couple of times in his highlight tape. Um, you know, you can tell why Chris Rump really, really likes this player. He brings a lot of athleticism and twitchiness to the table. And I think that's something that, you know, you can't have enough of at defensive end and at a premium position. So, you know, and another thing was, you know, you beat out Texas to get him. You know, if you have been following recruiting and, you know, crystal ball predictions and all of that, you know, there was certainly a lot of Texas smoke earlier in the week. He was coming off of his Texas official visit weekend. He was saying a lot of glowing things about Texas, and rightfully so. And Texas certainly had a lot of reasons to feel confident. But on Clemson's side of things, they kept up continuous communication with Dre, and they kept getting all the right signs. And as we got later in the week, it was clear that he's not a foregone conclusion to Texas. And I think this says a lot, you know, with the way that Texas is recruiting right now, that you're able to win a head-to-head battle for a guy that they considered a priority, and who they really wanted in the class. So, you know, I think that's something that needs to be said about the efforts that Clemson has made in this cycle to win those big boy head-to-head recruiting battles. And, you know, especially in Texas's case, Dre Quinn is not the last player that Clemson is going to go head-to-head with them for. You know, they also had Bryce Perry White at the official visit weekend. Um, you know, you already have to contend with um, you know, Georgia and other programs for his commitment. So, you know, that's another sign that Clemson is playing the game a little bit differently than they have in years past. So, you know, again, this is a really, really phenomenal get for Clemson. One I think they really, really needed, because, you know, if Dre Quinn goes to Texas, there's not really anybody else on the board of a true defensive end build. You know, Bryce Perry White is kind of a hybrid because of his size and frame. He's, you know, 6'2", 250, and kind of can project either or right now, and he's being recruited at both by Clemson. But you wouldn't really have another guy out there on the board that truly fits that true five tech role. So I think that's one thing that I think Dre Quinn fulfills, and he brings a lot of pass rush ability and athleticism to that group. So TPC, I've been talking long enough. What do you see in Dre Quinn? How big of this is a get for Clemson?
Yeah, I mean, I to your point, Jordan, and kind of the stuff that you touched on already, I don't think this recruitment and Clemson landing him can be understated. This is a huge get for the class. He joins. We haven't had a ton of success so far on the defensive end position as far as recruiting so far. Got a couple guys still in the irons in the fire, if you will. But Drake Quinn is one of those guys that is a true edge rusher. You see his highlight reel here. He does a lot in high school. Obviously plays at an elite level on the defensive line. You see him shedding blocks there, wrapping up running backs in the backfield. a guy that has a really quick first step. He's athletic, can obviously chase down quarterbacks. You see him batting down passes there. Really long guy, right? And a guy that's going to physically develop as he gets on campus at Clemson and gets in that weight room, and he's going to become an even better specimen than he already is as he gets in that Clemson Tiger program. And like I said, it's a huge get for the Tigers. It's one of the it's that prototypical defensive end frame guy that we really needed in this class. And we landed in Dre Quinn. And you mentioned recruiting against a university like Texas. You saw his official visit weekend here recently to Texas, where they kind of pulled out all the stops. They had Lambos on the field. I mean, they were doing everything they could to get this guy as a part of their class, and Clemson wins out when it's all said and done. And he was he was kind of asked of why he chose Clemson, and he said it just felt right. He mentioned the family atmosphere like a lot of the recruits do, but he just said every time he was on campus at Clemson, it just felt like the right place to be. And he goes ahead and shuts down the rest of his official visits and locks it down for the Tigers. A huge get for Clemson, a guy that kind of does all things on offense and defense as far as high school goes, makes plays on special teams, as you see on here, but a guy that's going to project as our big-time prototypical defensive end. He's going to be big-time at Clemson. This is a massive get for the cycle. He's the 16th commit, or excuse me, the 19th commit in the 2026 class, and just brings in another massive name for the Clemson Tigers in this 2026 cycle. I'm excited to see what he kind of develops into, but I think the sky's the limit for Dre Quinn, and he's going to be one of many storied big time defensive ends to suit it up and put that Paul on his helmet. So again, just really excited about it. Can't overstate it enough how big of a win this is. You mentioned Bryce Perry Wright, who was on campus with him at Texas for the official visit weekend. We're still looking to try to get him into the fold as well. So still a couple irons in the fire there, but I mean, what a day for the Tigers. We talked about it last night on our live show, how important it was to land a guy like Dre Quinn. And here we are, we've wrapped it up. And he is officially a verbal commit for the 2026 class. And I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Bryce Perry White, obviously, and we both have mentioned him a good bit. It's a big deal because not only were they together at Texas, but they're going to be teammates this year. Dre Quinn just transferred into Buford,
Yep.
obviously the high school of Bryce Perry White, so they're going to be teammates. I don't think that's an accident, and don't think that that hurts Clemson's chances at all at landing Bryce Perry White. So it's if recruiting is very much chess, not checkers, in a lot of ways. And this is a move that I think Clemson could benefit greatly from, and it's a good sign as far as your chances at closing out that recruitment as well. So again, can't be overstated how big this was. Chris Rumpf gets a much needed win on the recruiting trail. It kind of seemed like, with all the excitement that the offensive line and safety recruiting,
Yeah.
and obviously Tate Reynolds tearing it up at Elite 11, there's a lot of buzz about Clemson on the offensive side of the ball in particular. And we were just kind of waiting on defense to
Yep.
kind of, especially that front seven, to really start get going. Obviously, you still have linebacker out there, Tyler Atkinson being the name at that position, but getting some momentum on the defensive line, that is a phenomenal start for Clemson. And I'm excited to see what returns we continue to get. And we will, of course, be here when those do come in, and we'll be posting videos when these commits, as we have throughout the year when they come in. And, of course, we go live every week. We're actually moving the show. You guys have gotten used to us going live on Wednesday nights. We're actually going to be moving the show to Thursday nights at 7 p.m. So we'll put out a community post too, so everybody is on the same page. But make sure you check us out on the All In show Thursday nights here going forward at 7 p.m. But until next time, I'm Jordan Bowman. He's Tiger Paul Craven. And go Tigers.
Go Tigers.